wise man once said that evil can't create anything new. It can only corrupt that which already exists, or something similar to that. Nearing the exact quote, I don't remember quite who said that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But with that being said, we got some Rings of Power news from, well, the showrunners, Patrick McKay and what's his nuts? I don't remember. These guys are from formerly of Bad Reboot. They helped out on Star Trek Into Darkness and didn't even get a credit. And you know, they're amazing. Oh, they're from J.J. Abrams, Jar Jar Abrahams. But let me make sure I got. Yep, right there. Okay. But they had this to say recently from Bounding Into Comics. The Lord of the Rings of Power showrunners accuse show critics of being patently evil. Now, do you remember what I just said? Because this show is shit. Straight dog water garbage. Just some of the worst that I have ever seen, and I've been watching it the night it drops. So tonight, on Twitch, for a watch party, and now, after last week's episode, I go on to Renaissance Nerd, Adam's channel, and I've started joining them in Mordor Country so we can break down this awful show, just straight awful show, and point out all the inconsistencies, all the stupidity. But no, now they're gonna fall back on to the idea of racisms. The idea that we're just racist for hating the show, despite the fact that the show has tons of inconsistencies, dialogue that is just abhorrent. Boats look up, rocks look down. The sea is always right. And so much more. Oh, so much more. Give me the mic and give it to me raw. Oh my god, that's gonna get clipped. Oh well. But Prime Video, Amazon Studios, The Lord of the Rings of Power showrunners participated in one of the most obvious damage control pieces in the history of media by doubling down on their offensive, vile rhetoric by calling critics of the show patently evil. Again, back to that brilliant quote from a wise man, that evil can't create anything new. They can only take what has already been created and destroy it. But instead of working with Variety Fair this time, they went straight to the Hollywood Reporter, home of the Wokies. And Bounding Into Comics does a fantastic job just pointing out some of what Amazon has already deployed and trying to call us all racist, sexist, homophobic bigots that just hate the show because there's a black elf and a black dwarf and apparently a Persian woman who leads the Southlands, even though it doesn't make any sense. Because where they are, they shouldn't actually even be there, because Mordor should already have been created, because Mount Doom was already there, and yeah, you know. Oh, didn't you enjoy watching the origin story for Mount Doom? I sure know I didn't. Oh, aren't you excited to see how they all survive? Apparently basically a giant burning inferno that was created because a volcano just erupted. I sure know. I actually kind of want to know how they survived that, because that's going to be some sort of ridiculousness. The dude then cited that... Wait. Give me a moment. Said, if you remember in February, Prime's video, Hatchet Men of Anthony... whatever. And Jonah Robinson derided Tolkien fans, describing them as trolls, the two wrote. When Amazon released photos of its multicultural cast, even without character names or plot details, the studio endured a reflective attack from trolls. The anonymous online kind. But we already know who that was directed at. At, again, Nerdrotic, at Disparu, at George the Giant Slayer, over at Ryan Cannell from RK Outpost, over at Geeks and Gamers, and all of us who, well, not me at the time, my channel's still fairly new, but if you notice in the corner here, faces on screen, you know. But, you know, they don't like to acknowledge the fact that you can see our beautiful faces. Anyways, though, the two then cited the Equality and Diversity Officer from the University of Glasgow Center for Fantasy and Fantastic, whatever, Marina Rios Maldo. Maldo is a radical political activist who is interested in ethics, feminist theory, and encountering the author in Tolkien. The other in Tolkien. Basically some weird whack job who believes in a bunch of critical theories and wants to basically tear down Tolkien and calls him a horrible, horrible individual. But, you know, as cited here, they wanted to, you know, display her as a Tolkien scholar, even though her whole entire study is to tear down Tolkien. Maldonado did what Prime Video and Vanity Fair wanted. She disparaged fans, telling them, obviously, there was going to be push and backlash. But the question is, from whom? Who are these people that feel so threatened and disgusted by the idea of an elf is black or Latino or Asian? Hey, that's bigoted. That's supposed to be Latinx by your guys' standards, but you know. Anyways, no, that wasn't our point. Our point was you already have black people in Middle-earth. They're in... I'm going to get the name wrong. Harad. I wanted to say Harsharad, but I know that's wrong. They're in Harad. Why didn't you just go to Harad? Oh, you didn't want to do that because Harad's in Mordor, and Harad has a, you know, kind of has an alliance over with Mordor. In fact, Harad was over... the Harad soldiers and people like that, yeah, they were the people that marched in with the elephants in the Return of the King. But you know, you don't want to show accuracy or stay true to any form of Tolkien. In fact, there is Asian peoples. I don't know about Latino. That's actually a good question. But there is Asian people even in Lord of the Rings. They're in the... I'm going to get that place wrong. I want to say Eastern Isles, but I feel like that's Game of Thrones, and I could be getting those two mixed up. But I know there's Asian people in Tolkien. They're just not here at the time. In fact, even though I'm not a huge fan of the guy, just some guy had a wonderful breakdown of why they can't be there at that time due to technology and things like that. But, you know, ignore the fact that Tolkien actually accounted for all this stuff. Since then, Prime Video has deployed numerous media tactics to attack Tolkien fans. They used Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Dominic Monaghan, and Billy Boyd as props to denounce fans criticizing the show. Now remember, these pictures came out the exact day after the first Rings of Power dropped. That means they had these shirts and this hat and all this already queued up. This was planned. They were already going to call us racist, sexist, misogynistic bigots from the moment it dropped. This was their marketing ploy. And it's pathetic. Wood posed with Monaghan and Boyd wearing shirts with the number of different types of ears and the phrase, "You are welcome here," in Tolkien's Elvish. See, here they are right here. Yep, this whole picture came out the exact day after it dropped. Now, granted, actually it was either the exact day after it dropped or the exact day it dropped. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it was so close together. And then shortly thereafter, oh look, Sean Astin in his wonderful hat calling us all racists. Then, most notably, the official Twitter account of the Rings of Power issued a statement accusing fans of racism using the same "You are welcome here" slogan. Yep, even they had to come after us. Oh, and wouldn't you know it, Bounding in the Comics, oh, you're so wonderful. Oh, you're so wonderful, because if you take a look right here, you might not be able to see it on your screen, but it's Star Wars, Disney, the company that kind of first started all this fan bashing and fan attacking. Actually, that might have been the BBC, but I'm pretty sure it was Disney because of Star Wars, The Force Awakens. No, The Last Jedi, TLJ. And this is again from the Star Wars account, from Middle Earth to a galaxy far, far away. # you are welcome here. Yeah, Rings of Power and Star Wars, the exact same they did the exact same thing. We knew it was going to happen, and they did it. And thank you again, Bounding Out Comics, for just having this all in a nice little package, because I didn't cover this when it came out. I still had a phone. I didn't have a PC yet. And we're not even going to address everything that it said, because it is some of the most stupidest things that they have ever said. There have been numerous other stunts employees accusing the fans of being racist. None of it anywhere near the truth, and most of it deflection from the poor product that Prime Video was advertising and has thus far delivered. It is utter garbage. You know what? And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If this wasn't Tolkien, if they weren't trying to do Tolkien, this would just be a very awful fantasy show. And I probably would say, yeah, watch it if you want. Don't watch it if you don't want to, because it's bad, but it's not. It's a show. It's just an awful woke show. But no, this is Tolkien, so it's a disgrace to his name. It's a disgrace to everything that he ever held dear, and it's a disgrace to his great works. And why don't we just get down to where J.D. Payne, that's his name, J.D. Payne and Patrick McCain. It's not Patrick Payne. I did that all wrong, but I really don't care, because these two guys are worthless. Now, showrunner J.D. Payne has taken the attacks of fans to the next level. In this article from The Hollywood Reporter, Payne tells them the spirit of Tolkien is about disparate peoples who don't trust one another and look different from one another, finding common ground in friendship and accomplishing big things. Yes, that is... excuse me. That is one of the things within Tolkien, but again, the majority of Tolkien's story does not have any big, wide themes. Well, it has themes, but when you write a story, naturally some of your own ideas do kind of pour out, but it's more like your experiences, some of the broader ideas. One of the things that Tolkien inadvertently, because he hates all forms of, I just had it, symbolism and things like that. I cannot remember the term. People in the chat are going to correct me, but he hated all forms of that. But one of the ideas that you can kind of pull through Tolkien just by watching it is power corrupts, absolute power absolutely corrupts. And also this idea that because it is an inherently biblical tale, it's a black and white tale of good versus evil, power, corruption, weakness of men, and just fighting off evil. And that's all it is. And yes, there is racism and stuff like that, but he actually explains why, like elves and dwarves don't like each other. It's because of I'm gonna get these wrong. I believe it's because I get the levels wrong. The higher angels under the god whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head, because I'm horrible with names. If you've watched my videos, you know I'm horrible with names. But one of them wanted to create his own offspring, essentially, and he created the dwarves. The god essentially said, instead of destroying them, said, you can keep them, but they will have an impact on this world. And because of that, dwarves and elves do not like each other, because dwarves were made not by the original creator. the original creator created the elves and the men, and the hobbits just kind of appeared. That's why elves and men kind of get along, but dwarves and elves don't. Also, why Morgoth, whose name I cannot remember in the Valar or Maiar tongue, he can't create, he can only corrupt, and orcs are just corrupted elves and humans. Actually, I think Uruk-hai are disformed humans, but I'm not too sure. I have to check back. He adds, the spirit we've tried to inculcate into every single comma and period in the show. That this aspiration would be offensive to people and enrage them, it's very hard for us to understand. Maybe if you actually interpreted Tolkien and didn't just, do a hack job on what he wrote and, threw a bunch of your own stuff in there, because might I mind you, we'll use this lovely scene right here as an example. This is supposed to be Elrond. Elrond is a diplomat and kind of a femboy. But this is current King Durin, and this is his son, Durin. Now, in Dwarven culture, there cannot be two Durins at the same time. I cannot remember how it exactly works, but the idea is that Durins basically not regenerate, respawn. I can't remember it. I'm going to end up screaming it towards the end, but they come back to life and a new form, and that would be this Durin after this Durin is dead. But logic, sticking to what Tolkien made. Or this lovely little boy who is obviously half elf. They just haven't shown us his years yet. Yeah, he's a new character. We scroll back all the way up here. She's a new character. We don't even know who this is, but this could be a wizard. Wizards don't even exist in the Second Age. They don't come in until the Third Age. But again, following his lore, something that you constantly love to say that you are doing, but are patently not. What are they protecting? Tolkien. I don't see how people who are saying these things think that they're fighting for good. Oh, shut up. There's a line in episode 7 where Galadriel says every war is fought from without and within. I don't even know what the hell she was saying. Even if you're fighting for something you think is good, if you do something worse in that fight, then you become evil. Yeah? Yeah? Is that why she decided to start threatening to go full German dude with a funny mustache? When she was talking to, for the first Uruk, according to him, and Adar, when she was talking to Adar and talking about how she was going to destroy all of his kin and make him watch? No? Does that not ring a bell? Or are you going to try to use the loophole that you established from lines that don't make any sense, that she had to touch the darkness to find out where the light is? Even if you're fighting for something you think is good, if you do something worse in that fight, then you become evil. I don't see how people who are saying these things think they're fighting for good. It's patently evil, he concluded. Again, back to that wonderful quote I did, that wonderful paraphrase that I did of a Tolkien line that people try to say isn't actually from Tolkien, but it's from Tolkien. Evil cannot create, they can only corrupt. Yeah, you created the show, but you had to create the show by corrupting Tolkien. Evil cannot create, they can only corrupt. You had to take something that is pure in all of its forms, had a very simplistic story, but yet very detailed, and you just had to stab it because you hate Tolkien that much. You can't stand him. First off, Payne's assertion is patent lie that he sugarcoats with his own fake platitudes in order to justify the horrific product he has created. Ooh, I love bounding on the comics for this, because they... excuse me again, sorry about that. They just eviscerate these two, especially because, remember, There's a line from episode 7 where Galadriel says he made up these lines. They wrote this whole thing. So he just used his own words to justify him calling us all evil. He's the evil one. One only needs to look at how the first episode ends and Galadriel's rejection of the equivalent of heaven to realize the evil that lies underneath Lord of the Rings of Power. That's right, she gave up heaven because of some dumb line her since deceased brother said, because in order to find the light, sometimes you have to touch the darkness, which basically means sometimes you have to become evil. Not only does she reject heaven, but a memory for, yeah, here it is, the dead brother telling her Payne's own director also admits the show does not embrace this idea of friendship. Yep, this is wonderful, and I don't even know how to say this, but I probably said that completely wrong, detailed that a scene in episode 5, Partings, specifically tried to show that Galadriel was entrapping and manipulating Halbrand to do her bidding. That's right, she entraps Halbrand, forces him to go back to Middle-earth so that he can go take up his rightful place as king. But, spoiler alert, if you already haven't figured it out, Halbrand's actually Sauron. So even if you take that into account, this whole mystery box thing, that, who's Sauron? No, Sauron's Halbrand. But this is a wonderful article by Bounding on Atomics. Like, they just eviscerate what they said here. But remember, he also pointed out, like, the critics. Oh, why are these people protecting this thing so hard? Well, we also have this from, again, from Bounding on Comics. Well, why don't I scroll up? Amazon Studios boss Jennifer Salke admits to censoring the Lord of the Rings of Power reviews over points of views that we wouldn't support. That's right. They finally admit it. Because, fun fact, for the past while, we've been finding that reviews haven't been going through. You've been denied to review access on Amazon itself. We also took note that IMDb was removing reviews, IMDb being owned by Amazon, and YouTube was also censoring any comments on their shows and removing downvotes and all that. Which, if you want to know, again, one of the reasons I love Bounding on Comics is because they also link to some wonderful creators like Ryan Cannell from RK Outpost or Disparu, who have very much detailed this. Go check out their channels. I'll link them down in the description. But Amazon Studio, they do it again. Okay, that's my only criticism with John F. Trent. Okay, that's my only criticism with Bounding on Comics. Sometimes they'll just basically copy and paste it right down here on the whole headline down at the very beginning. In a giant damage control article in the Hollywood Reporter, Salke confirmed the gigantic corporation was using all of its power to censor opinions they disagreed with. So, why don't we take this to its natural conclusion? Because of this, because of what these people have said, the truth of what Rings of Power is being censored. Because these people can't stand the fact that they created a shit product and we keep calling it out. These people are using their own words. We'll scroll up back to the very beginning. J.D. Payne, Patrick McKane, Amazon Prime, this dog water right here. These are actions of patently evil people. If you were actually good individuals, you wouldn't have to hide the critics. You wouldn't have to hide from ideas you don't agree with. You don't have to hide from all this stuff, because I've seen some of the things that have they've censored. They've censored words like cringe or bad. They've removed single sentenced reviews that just have a 1 star, but they've also kept single word reviews that have 5 stars because they don't want bots, or as we now know, because they, scrolling back up, because they didn't agree with the points of view. These people are despicable, disgusting, and this is a perfect example of corporatism gone awry and why I despise corporatism. So with that, guys, if you like the video, leave a thumbs up, share it out with your friends, leave a comment down below. I know this is one of my more longer form videos, but this got me heated. And Bounty on the Comics, you guys did great. Again, if you want to watch the 2 videos of Ryan and Disbrew down here that Bounty on the Comics link to and basically use as some sources for this article here, I'll link them down below. But jeez, this show. Tune in Saturday over at Renaissance Nerds channel, which I will tweet out, so please follow my Twitter as well. I'm also trying to build a locals to do that. But when I'm over on This Is Mordor Country, because I'm going to tear these people a brand new bum. So y'all have a good one. Bye.